Portion of the meeting of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board of Trustees. Today is November 28th, 2022. If you'll all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. The board did meet in closed session this evening and took no reportable action in closed session. Are there any changes to this evening's agenda, Superintendent Geisels?
No, President Zurich, there is not.
Would someone like to move approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next, we have public comment. So this is the opportunity for public comment on anything that's not on this evening's agenda. Not on the River Sage petition, but anything else? Okay, seeing none, I will close that public comment. So, next is for review and action this evening, is to consider and either approve or deny the River Sage School Charter petition pursuant to Education Code 47605. So I'll kick this off. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm happy that everyone's here, both in person and perhaps folks are watching us. This agenda item, as I said, is for the board to consider and either approve or deny the River Sage Charter School petition. The petition was submitted on September 6, 2022, and the petitioners certified the petition at that time to be complete. On November 2nd, the board held a public hearing related to the charter petition. And prior to that, in September, the petitioners were notified of the sequence of events related to how this works, because it's prescribed by California State Ed Code. Representatives from the River Sage Charter School were allocated time at the board meeting to present an overview of their petition, which they did very well. And following the presentation, the public was invited to speak. The board also received written comments. Before closing the public hearing, the board also asked questions regarding the petition, which petitioners and their representatives very patiently responded to. On November 10th, the staff, I believe it actually was November 11th, yes. Is that correct? The staff report was posted to the district's website. So usually staff reports are posted 72 hours in advance of a meeting. This one was posted 2 weeks in advance of this meeting. Which is really meant to give folks extra time because we had the holidays and to allow ample time to prepare for this afternoon's hearing. Today, the board will hear public comment. We'll receive a presentation from staff regarding the staff report, which we anticipate to be about 20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah.
Okay, and then the petitioners will have equal time to address the board. So we'll be timing how long the staff takes, and the petitioners will have at least that much time to talk to the board. You don't have to take that much time, but that is the law, that you get equal time. Following the presentations, the board will then consider and take action whether to approve or deny the River Sage Charter School petition. So that's kind of how this evening's going to go. So what we are going to do first is hear public comment. Then we're going to hear the staff's report. Then we're going to hear from the petitioner. Okay, so I have a number of public comment cards here. They were handed to me randomly, and I'm going to call folks up randomly. As usual, you have 3 minutes, and we'll be keeping the timer for the 3 minutes, so please stop when you're asked to stop. And let's see, we have about 6 or 7 folks who want to talk. Then we'll time the staff's presentation, similar with the petitioner. So let's start with public comment with Liz Shepard, please. You know what, you can just go right here. Yeah, and make sure that the light is on, and we'll also tell you if we can't hear you overhead.
Oh, that's good. Speaking into this, I'm not great with microphones, so.
It doesn't
You
seem
wanna-
like it's on.
Is the button? The one that says push.
Great. Is that better? Hi, thank you so much. I was anticipating getting to hear some of the presentations first, but I'll just sort of speak out. I really just wanted to share some of my heart with you all. I would really like to say thank you to you guys and thank you to the TTUS staff for all being here. I know it's an extra effort to show up on another day, and I appreciate all the hard work that all of you have invested in hearing this charter petition. For me, I have lived in Tahoe for a very long time. I moved here in 2002 when I graduated from college, essentially. Someone offered me a house and someone offered me a room, and here I am, and I've made my life here. I married a man from England. I raised my children here. I've been involved in snow sports education for those whole 2 decades and have been involved in education for a really long time. And I stumbled upon Waldorf education. It was really my daughter. We took her to the then Waldorf preschool, which Miss River ran, and we were there for 10 minutes, and she cried the rest of the day because she was like, when do I get to go back to my school? It was like immediate love at first sight for her. So I entered into this adventure for my children, not really knowing much about it. And what I love most about my own growth in learning about Waldorf education is the deepness of the curriculum that it offers. It's really like heart-movingly beautiful from the teachers and the teachers who are asked to sit quietly at night and visualize the children that they are struggling with in the classroom, not because that solves all of the problems, but because it opens their heart to the children. From the way that I sit down with my children's teachers and they know everything about them. And that has been the case of whether there have been 3 people in their class or 20 people in their class. They know my child in and out. When you ask what do kids do in the classroom and they walk in the morning and they have this beautiful multidisciplinary main lesson that focuses on all sorts of things, and it's concrete. My daughter is about to learn about ancient India, and I'm so excited to see how that's presented. They just did a beautiful project on the geography of the U.S., and the kids each picked a national park and presented everything about their national park and where it was in the U.S. and how it played a role there. And it was really beautiful, and my daughter didn't want to stop doing research on it. We literally were finished, and I was like, this is beautiful. They had to make sample brochures, and she was like, no, I don't have enough information. And she went and she researched on the computer for like 2 more hours. I couldn't stop her. And that means so much to me, that my child is like eager and dying to learn about this world. And the fact that her teachers show up showing her that the world is beautiful.
Need to wrap up, Liz, sorry.
That's fine. And loving. And that's what I would love to share with all of the children in this district. I don't want it for just me and my children.
Thank
I
you.
want it for all of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Lauren Bello. And
Am I still hot?
you're hot, and your time's there too, so sometimes it helps me to know.
Super. Hi, everyone. It's actually a really, really a pleasure to see everyone's faces. I'm rebounding from like Zoom weirdness, so I kind of love in-person meetings. My name is Lauren Bello. I'm a parent of a 7-year-old, a local Truckee human, and I'm president of the board of Little Gems of the Sierra. I'd just like to note a response to the staff report really quickly. The staff letter states, and it's this slide here, that because Sierra Sage is not registered as a DBA for Little Gems of the Sierra preschool, the governing board is not authorized or does not exist. These assertions appear to be based on some erroneous legal conclusions, as California corporate law exempts nonprofit charities like Little Gems from registering or having to register fictitious names under Business and Professions Code section 17911. The staff report also states the Articles of Incorporation for Little Gems only authorizes it to operate early childhood programs. Little Gems has amended its articles of incorporation to permit it to operate both early childhood and other educational programming. As a parent and custodian of a program focused on the enrichment of young minds, I'd like to urge you, the board of TTUSD, to vote yes on this petition. My family lives here in Truckee because my husband works as a wildland firefighter for the Forest Service. We love the forest and we love Truckee for many, many reasons and are excited to raise our child here. TTUSD is an amazing and special school district and offers many unique and special programs for many families, but at this time, it doesn't offer a Waldorf program. I was once told by a teacher of mine that music, art, mathematics, kinesthetics like dance or movement, and emotional connection are all human languages that we speak with and are equally as important from one to another. She helped me look at the world through a different lens, where humans have their language that they speak in, or they speak in many, but they're all equally valid. This is the lesson I would like to teach to my child and her generation, and why I'm advocating for this petition for a Waldorf public charter. Waldorf programs are about teaching kids to learn, not to learn to a test, for a test, but to develop a lifelong love of learning. This is an extremely special type of program that deserves its own place in any pantheon of public school offerings. This is a 360-degree view that teaches each lesson through a narrative that places the physics, history, language, science in a context.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
Sorry. I know it goes
I'm way
fast.
slower. Anyway, please vote yes so we can offer this gift of a program to our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Stakely.
Hello, my name is David Stakely, and I'm a high school teacher at North Tahoe High School, as well as a Tahoe Truckee Education Association union leader representing almost 300 local teachers, as well as a local resident and taxpayer. I'm speaking tonight on the topic of the River Sage Charter School petition and encouraging the board to make the best decision for TTUSD students and to deny this proposal as recommended by staff. As stated during my comments when this proposal was presented earlier this month, as well as the copious amounts of research done by staff and presented in the staff report later tonight, denying this proposal is in the best interest of all of the students of Tahoe Truckee. The students, families, teachers, staff, administrators, and school board trustees of TTUSD have worked together to create a varied, vibrant, and welcoming learning community here in the mountains with a variety of non-traditional offerings available in our schools. And I would encourage the families of River Sage Charter School or River Sage School to join with us to further improve our local public schools. We're doing great work here to educate every single diverse learner who lives in our district boundaries, and your students would no doubt be a great fit in our schools too. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, David. Billy Griffin.
Just checking the.
Yep, you're there.
Okay. My name is, my name is Billy Griffin. I am speaking to you tonight as a parent, but also as a member of the board of FOTTW. Our board responded to the staff report by email and public comment. It came in just before 3 o'clock today due to an emailing addressing error, and so I just wanted to make sure that the board had seen it. And okay, the board has not seen it. I didn't see anywhere on the website where it would say, that there's a cutoff time, but it was sent yesterday and then bounced back, and I sent it back earlier this afternoon. I would encourage the board to read this letter as it was sent as public comment, and the email came back acknowledging it as such. I'd like to vocalize publicly here, just in 3 minutes, simply to emphasize it, that the staff report contains multiple instances of outdated, assumptive, or outright inaccurate information about our organization and has presented it as fact. The report then uses these assumptions to unfairly characterize our organization as unable to meet its obligations, and that we would be unlikely to do so to meet the obligations as the owner and developer of the property at Union Mills. We find this to be problematic, particularly considering that in some instances this information was based on preliminary data that was gathered over 2 years ago and then presented as if it was current. Our board is unaware of any attempts by staff to contact our organization to clarify or confirm or deny any of the information that it gathered. There seemed to be no attempt at primary source information, and it was presented to you as if it was a complete and full report. So I would like to call that to your attention and to our objection to that kind of characterization. Our relationship to TTUSD has always been a very mutually respectful and friendly one. It was the district that sold us, our portables in the first place, and we would like to continue to have that kind of relationship. But it's instances like this that really put a cloud over that. So thank you very much, and please take that into consideration when you make your decision today.
Mr. Griffin, can I ask you where you sent that email?
boardroom@ttusd.org. And I did get a confirmation email back saying, we've received your public comment and it's been submitted.
Right. I mean, personally, I left before 3 o'clock to come here, so I haven't had an opportunity to see anything that came subsequent to that.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm not sure what the law provides around that, but I would, I did get an email back saying we've received your public comment and have accepted it as such.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
great. Thank you very much.
So Tracy and Bonnie, are you guys going to do public comment, or are you going to want to talk to us as petitioners, or how do you?
Oh, no, I have a public comment too. I have someone who couldn't make it in, and I have that public comment.
Yeah, we don't allow folks to read on behalf of other people. We never have. But, okay, yeah.
If it was sent to us, then we can get to it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but, yeah. Okay, so Tracy, I'm going to put you aside. And, okay, Bonnie, I'll put you in front of Rachel, and then Rachel's next.
Okay, hello. I too want to thank you for all the time you've taken to look at all of this and do all of this. My deepest respect comes from 50 years of being an educator. And when I was assistant professor of education at Touro University, doing a lot of research in education, one of the things that I found was that all educators share something in common, which is the love of children and the love of learning. And I'm not denying that to anyone here in this room. There is a difference how Waldorf approaches, and the way that I would say it is, it's about relationships. It's about long looping and the time a teacher spends starting in first grade through 8th grade with a student. It also is about how the curriculum unfolds very specifically for cognitive development and for what is cognitively available to a child. I won't go any further with it, but I will say the reason why parents are asking for it is because it is different. It's not because it's the same and just an elaboration or anything else. It's because it's 100 years of a different education that has been proven successful through many, many research projects, many, many doctorate research theses. And so I'm not speaking about something that's loose or not organized. I'm talking about something that's very solid. Over 30 years ago, I wrote the first set of standards for the Waldorf schools in the United States. Over the last 6 years, I and a team of us wrote a whole set of standards comparing Waldorf to the Common Core standards, and we have it completely documented, and we have used it in all the 44 public Waldorf schools that exist in this country. It is a very strong, strong educational program. Now, when it comes to leadership, I need you to know something. I was recruited out of being a professor to take over a school in Southern California, a big public Waldorf school that needed turning around. I have a very good reputation as a principal. I don't have a bad reputation as a principal. I've worked in 2 big public Waldorf schools very, very successfully. Even now, I'm currently being recruited. I really do know what it takes. I served as the liaison from the big school in Southern California to every board meeting, to every special education team meeting, to every student services team meeting for San Juan Capistrano Unified School District at the school where I was principal and authorized by that district. I know how to work, I know how to interface, I know how to create really healthy relationships with people in their districts. And we had the most successful time turning that school around. One of the biggest highlights for us was that the superintendent of schools of Irvine School District put his 4 children into our school. That's saying something, and that did happen. And so I think the piece that I would just want to say to you is if there's a question about leadership between Tracy and
Thank you,
myself,
Bonnie.
there's a high-quality leadership here.
Thank you. And Rachel.
Hi, guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time to hear from everyone that is affiliated with this petition. I just want to start with, I am a full-time resident. I grew up ski racing here. I did not go to school here, but spent a lot of time. My family has been in the Tahoe area for, 47 years. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in liberal studies. I have a minor in early childhood education. Sorry, I'm nervous. And I've been involved with the snow sports industry for over 15 years as an alpine examiner in this area of Tahoe. So I am well aware of this area and very inserted and not going anywhere. Education is by far one of the most important things in my life. Working with kids and making sure that fire and that ignition is like, that passion is inserted with them or passed on to them. So when I have looked at this curriculum that the Waldorf School offers, it is by far, as Liz was saying, the most beautiful and enriching curriculum that I've ever come across. With over 30 years of education experience and working with kids in all ages, like, this is something I am definitely getting behind. And it took meeting people like Bonnie here and Tracy that have inspired me again to move towards this passion of working with this school. I am devoted to this group. This is a group that, and the curriculum is there to grow both the teacher and the student and that relationship that they have. So it's for all kids, I'll say. It's for all kids of all walks of life. This speaks to everyone. I think it is definitely what we need for this region. Truckee needs it. Tahoe needs it. This is something I stand in support of, and I urge the board to vote yes on this petition.
Thank you, Rachel. Any further public comment?
Sure. I just wanted to let you know I have a hard copy.
You can share it with the clerk over here, and she'll distribute it to us. That'd be great. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No other further public comment. I'm going to close public comment, and then we are going to start on staff report, and we will time that. So we'll be counting up instead of down, and somebody over here will tell us how long it takes. Great, thank you.
And this will be a collaborative effort from cabinet staff.
Okay, thank you so much.
right, Ed, you're going to be punching ahead of me, so go ahead. First slide, please. So of course, as President Zurich had said, the role of the board is to consider all of the available information that is provided in the staff report, the petition, and all the information shared at the public hearing. We will ensure equal time for the petitioners as given to staff to present this evening as well. And then, of course, the ultimate decision action item is to either grant or deny the charter petition. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Here is just simply stated in Ed Code what the board must be satisfied that the granting the charter is consistent with sound educational practice and with the interest of the community in which the school is proposing to locate. That's the key statement there. Next slide, please, Mr. Hilton. Thank you very much. So when staff took its very diligent look at the charter petition, Education Code required us to look at the criteria. And we found, as you can see in red, several areas where we had concerns. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but you can see which ones they are there. And we are going to speak to those concerns this evening. So we considered the charter petition attachments, the presentation at the public hearing comments from everyone involved, communications from previous charter school operator, the Golden Valley Tahoe operator, which was Golden Valley, communications from district families, information from the town of Truckee, publicly available information regarding school operations. And staff does recommend to deny the petition under the key concerns which were listed in the previous slide. The safety and viability of proposed location, the prior history of unsuccessful operations, the inadequate governance, the private school conversion, and the unreasonable budget and failure to serve all students. And now I'd like to introduce our Assistant Superintendent, Chief Business Officer Todd Rivera, who will be speaking about the location.
Thank you. So as Superintendent Chief Learning Officer Geisel said, one of our areas of concerns was the location that was named in the petition. The Charter Schools Act states that a petition for establishment of a charter school shall identify a single charter school that will operate within the geographic boundaries of the school district, and the petition must describe the facilities to be used by the charter school and specify where the charter school intends to locate. The petition identifies 12640 Union Mills Road or a similar location within the district as a location for Riversage Charter School. Petitioners have confirmed at the public hearing that they will ask for approval of the operations at the Union Mills site. However, the Union Mills site is inadequate to house a program that plans to serve up to 165 pupils for the 2023-2024 school year and 240 students by the year 2027-2028. At this time, the use permit for the Union Mills site allows for only 40 students with a temporary use permit for 44 students. Currently, a tuition-based preschool program, Little Gems of Sierra Preschool, currently operates at the Union Mills site. The petitioners confirmed that Little Gem Preschool will remain at the site along with the Riversage Charter School. This leaves no authorization for additional students to be housed at the Union Mills site. According to the town of Truckee, there are significant issues with placing additional students at the Union Mills site. Serving up to 165 students at the start of 2023-2024 school year would require at a minimum the following: permitting, construction, and renovation for 5 to 7 modular classroom buildings, widening of the existing paved entrance road, addressing vehicle miles traveled mitigation requirements. Current VMT, or vehicle miles traveled, analysis suggests no vehicular traffic to the Union Mills site will be allowable, and that carpooling or off-site field trips are not acceptable mitigation. Any busing or van pulling mitigation would require a traffic study for feasibility. Development of an evacuation plan in case of fire or other emergency. In consideration of the Union Mills site, in a fire-prone area at the end of the dead-end road where only one egress, this evacuation plan would require a solution other than parents coming to campus to pick up their children. Addressing the water system capacity, including the septic tank requirements, which currently has a capacity to serve only 157 students. Also, in addition, a visit to the Union Mills site confirmed that the portable classrooms are not installed, but sit on blocks and currently are used as storage. As discussed in more detail below, the cost to properly install the portable classrooms is estimated at a minimum of $300,000 per portable. This cost estimate does not contemplate DSA, Division of State Architect involvement, or any other town requirements that may apply and must be met for the safety of students. Even if River Sage could meet the above requirements and conduct the necessary property improvements, it does not appear that the 3 classrooms in the existing building and 5 portable classrooms could accommodate the proposed 165 students, in addition to the Little Gems preschool students. Current VMT analysis suggests that no vehicular traffic to the Union Mills site would be allowable and that carpooling or off-site field trips are not acceptable. Sorry, I'd read that already. There's no discussion of how River Sage plans to serve students located throughout the district's boundaries, which encompass 723 square miles and serve students in Placer, Nevada, and El Dorado counties. In addition, as prospective lessees and not owners of the Union Mills site, petitioners do not have control over Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf's permitting process with the town, including timing, confirmed funding, or agreement on mitigating factors which may impact charter school operation. The district was not provided information regarding FOTTW's fiscal status, terms for the agreement with FOTTW, or how the petitioner will ensure the safety and use of the Union Mills site for River Sage Charter. FOTTW has also received citations from the town for their use of the Union Mills site over the past 2 years. On April 27, 2021, FOTTW received a notice for violating the Town Development Code relating to the storing unpermitted portable classrooms on the Union Mills site. On September 8, 2022, FOTTW received a notice for unpermitted operation of a child care facility for operating Little Gems of the Sierra Preschool on the Union Mills site. At the public hearing, petitioners stated that they plan to have a kitchen at the Union Mills site, and a kitchen is necessary to provide universal meal service to students. However, site improvement application to the town does not include a kitchen, and the town does not know if the septic system on site can accommodate a kitchen. These permitting and logistical challenges and uncertainties implicate River Sage's ability to provide universal meal service. Finally, the petition does not otherwise provide any information reflecting that petitioners have secured or will secure any feasible alternative location to house this educational program should the Union Mills site be unavailable for any of the reasons detailed above. To this end, the petition does not make any reference to the application for use of the district facilities pursuant to Proposition 39. Moreover, petitioners did not submit any application for district facilities for the year 2022-23. Overall, petitioners have not demonstrated the facility that they use to house students in grades TK through 8th is safe, suitable, and improved facility. Petitioners cannot successfully implement their program in reliance on the Union Mills site.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. So the next slide, Ms. Apatini, you're going to start off for us.
Yes, I will. Joan Zapatini, Director of Human Resources. So the regulations require consideration of past and/or unsuccessful history of involvement in charter schools or other educational agencies, whether public or private, such as whether petitioners have been associated with the charter school of which the charter has been revoked. That's under California Code regulations. Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf, FOTTW, was involved in Golden Valley Tahoe. FOTTW leased the Union Mills site to Golden Valley Tahoe and provided fundraising support. Golden Valley Tahoe cited FOTTW's involvement in Golden Valley Tahoe as a contributing factor to its closure due to competing interests and confusion on school governance. When Golden Valley Tahoe teachers decided to end their employment with Golden Valley Tahoe, FOTTW created a private school homeschooling group that employed those teachers. That was called FOTTW School Wild River. River Sage plans to employ these same teachers. Golden Valley Tahoe cited these teachers' decision to end their employment with Golden Valley Tahoe and failure to comply with the school policies and procedures as another contributing factor to Golden Valley Tahoe's closure. Golden Valley, the general governor operator based in Folsom. Golden Valley staff sent letters to the district recommending that the district does not approve the current petition. Golden Valley Tahoe did not demonstrate measurable, verifiable academic progress. However, screening assessments given to students enrolling in district schools in the spring of 2022 from the closed Golden Valley Tahoe indicate that newly enrolled students were performing from 1 to 2 grade levels below standard and required significant interventions.
And at the public hearing November 2nd, petitioners pointed to Golden Valley Tahoe Charter's management organization as the source of its physical mismanagement. Yet Golden Valley continues to operate 2 other charter schools that do not appear to have troublesome financial deficits. The financial difficulties of Golden Valley Tahoe appear to be specific to the inadequate enrollment and the operations of the Union Mill site, which will likely impact River Sage as Golden Valley Tahoe Wild River seek to transition to River Sage Charter. Petitioners stated at the public hearing they have 70 students currently enrolled in the Wild River home school program that they wish to enroll in the charter school. This is not adequate enrollment to sustain the school, and despite the years of operation as Golden Valley Tahoe and Wild River, enrollment has never exceeded 107 students. That's on the petition, page 13. This number differs from the 85 students listed in the petition and calls into question the accuracy of the enrollment predictions and the continued interest of local students. As will also be discussed, the fiscal break between River Sage is 165 enrollment, which is not possible with the facility limitations in place that Mr. Rivera spoke about, and not a reasonable projection based on historical enrollment. Golden Valley board members who spoke against the approval of the charter provided information regarding the school's operations, including serious issues with failing to provide special education services to students. This was corroborated by a former speech and language pathologist that spoke at the public hearing on November 2nd and by a former parent of Golden Valley Tahoe. This parent informed the district that her speech and language disabled student was disenrolled by Golden Valley Tahoe. The parent received an email from then Principal Bonnie River, who also served as the Director of Special Education and then Director of Operations Kate Panawek, that her speech and language disabled child was no longer welcome at Golden Valley Tahoe because of her disability, and the student would be disenrolled effective immediately. This conduct does not only violate state and federal statutory law as well as the state and federal constitutions, it is contrary to the fundamental right to public education and access for all students, or FAPE. The district was directly impacted by the sudden closure of Golden Valley Tahoe. Students that returned to the district, as we said, did not have student records. CUME files were missing or not provided, and the students required significant supports and intervention. And now on to the next slide. Oh, demographics, Mr. Hilden. There you go.
There are concerns with the demographics. A comparison of the students previously enrolled in Golden Valley Tahoe Charter and students expressing interest in attending River Sage in this petition evidence of significant overlap.
Anna,
Anne-Marie,
you're not on.
Or you're not close enough.
Just use cursing. And also, you might want to introduce yourself too.
Sorry, microphone failure. I'm Anne-Marie Cohen. I'm the Executive Director of Student Services. Sorry about that. Would you like me to start over? Okay, all right. There are concerns with the demographics. A comparison of students previously enrolled in Golden Valley Tahoe Charter and students expressing interest in attending River Sage in the petition evidences significant overlap, suggesting this demographic disparity between prospective River Sage students and the district's student population would persist. The petitioners do not have a meaningful plan for ensuring diversity and the admissions preferences included in the petition, giving preference to current students, children of staff, and siblings, and would serve to perpetuate the disparity. Indeed, one parent at the public hearing expressed interest in River Sage as an opportunity for his children to attend a Waldorf school in Truckee without paying private school prices in the Bay Area. This sentiment underscores the apparent intention to continue the exclusive Tahoe Truckee Waldorf community in a public school format. When questioned at the public hearing, the petitioners did not have a meaningful plan to attract, retain, and otherwise ensure access to socioeconomically disadvantaged students, English language learners, or students with disabilities. As explained in the report, despite petitioners' statements that Waldorf schools are diverse, review of the demographics for the identified Waldorf schools does not support this. And while the staff does not challenge Waldorf education, this program has historically not served all students, and the petition does not address this deficiency.
Now on to governance.
I'm Kirsten Kramer, the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. In terms of governance, charter schools must have a nonprofit school board, and the district staff had two areas of concern about the petitioner's governance plan. The first is at the time of the submitted petition, they don't really have a governing board, and I'll explain what we mean by that. And then there's also concerns of conflicts of interest. So first, the lack of a governing board. The petition proposes to have Sierra Sage serve as the governing board of River Sage. Sierra Sage is not registered as a DBA, a do business as, for Little Gems of the Sierra Preschool. Little Gems is registered as a nonprofit public benefit corporation. However, the Articles of Incorporation for Little Gems only authorize it to operate early childhood programs. Petitioners indicate they plan to update the bylaws for Little Gems to reflect their transition to operating a charter school in addition to the established preschool program and create a DBA for Sierra Sage. And I believe in public comment we heard that they're working on that. Fundamentally, the governance structure is not in place. This leaves the district without the ability to properly assess the nonprofit bylaws and articles of incorporation applicable to the governing body. The second concern with governance is the conflicts of interest. Tracy Bondi and Kate Panawick are on the Sierra Sage board, and they're also being considered to be founding executive directors. Karen Kodalik is being considered also for the founding executive director, and Karen is also a prospective teacher. Bonnie Rivers' daughter is on the Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf board, and this is the group that leases the land to River Sage. And Liz Shepard is on the River Sage board and is also on the Friends of Truckee Tahoe Waldorf board. By holding these concurrent positions, River Sage's executive officers would be effectively overseeing themselves, creating a potential, if not actual, conflict of interest. The district staff also identified a couple of other areas of potential conflicts of interest that could impact the operations of River Sage. These have to do with the local partners listed in the petition. The first is Coalition Snow. Coalition Snow is owned by Lauren Bello, a proposed River Sage board member. And the second partners are Bespoke, and I'm going to say it wrong, Atelier, are listed as local partners, and Bespoke and Atelier are owned by Heather Rivers, and Heather is a daughter of Bonnie Rivers, the proposed principal of River Sage. Conflicts of interest could complicate or disrupt school operations and the school's success, and it also violates state law.
I'm going to discuss private school conversion. As an apparent stopgap measure for students in the wake of the Golden Valley Tahoe closure, the Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf, FOTTW, established a private school which is run under the name Wild River. This private school offers homeschooling at a cost of $8,200 per student per year and is run from the Union Mills site, which is identified as the facility for River Sage. Also located at this site is Little Gems of the Sierra, a private tuition-based preschool operated by a board which is proposed to serve as the board for River Sage under a new name, Sierra Sage. However, there is currently no governing board in place for the proposed charter school. The administrator for FOTTW School, as indicated in the private school affidavit, is Lisa Husser, who is also listed as an interested parent in the petition. Petition Appendix H, page 2. In addition, the FOTTW School Director of Education is Bonnie River, the proposed principal of River Sage, and the Director of Operation is Kate Panowick. One of the proposed individuals to serve as executive director or finance executive for River Sage. See Exhibit 12, Petition Appendix, page 85. All of the teachers listed as being interested in teaching at River Sage identified themselves at the public hearing to be currently teaching at FOTTW / Wild River, Petition Appendix, page 108. The FOTTW and Wild River websites also shows campus pictures that are identical to those shared with the district's board at the November 2nd, 2022 public hearing. After Golden Valley Tahoe ceased operations, the district was given a list of students attending the charter school. 15 of these students enrolled in the district between April and September 2022. The district was not made aware of the educational plans of the remaining students, though some enrolled in the district but were marked as no-shows. When the district followed up with these families regarding the students' lack of attendance, parents indicated that they were instead attending the Wild River private school operated by FOTTW until a public charter could be formed. Supporting this sentiment, parents of students currently attending FOTTW School Wild River signed the petition as interested family members, and a few public speakers at the public hearing referred to the cost of education and that the charter school would be tuition-free. Students speaking at the public hearing mentioned wanting to continue attending their current school. FOTTW School Wild River teachers echoed their desire to continue working with their current students, but under the proposed charter. Petitioners stated at the public hearing that the FOTTW School Wild River is a homeschool consortium. Petitioners further stated that each family filed a private school affidavit. However, the FOTTW private school affidavit enrollment information undercuts that claim. Parents and students speaking at the hearing also referenced attending school regularly.
Now we move on to budget. Mr. Rivera?
Thank you. As expected, the budget is really the biggest indicator of whether a charter school can be successful financially and stay afloat over the years and sustain its operations. There was definitely areas of concern with regards to the budget. There seemed to be a lot of missing components there, and that the budget did not adequately address or account for several different areas, which I'll go over now. First is inadequate enrollment, or ADA. The petitioners state that they currently have 70 students interested in enrolling in the school. However, in order to break even on their own budget, which has deficiencies, which I'll talk about a little bit more in detail, they must have 165 ADA. This program, whether operated as Golden Valley Tahoe, FOTTW, Wild River, or otherwise, has never enrolled more than 107 students. In addition, the Education Code Section 48000 requires one teacher for every 12 TK students on average, which is an increased teacher cost not captured in the budget. Absent adequate enrollment, ADA, the school is not sustainable and will likely end up with deficit spending, as did Golden Valley Tahoe, requiring its closure. With regards to approved textbooks and instructional materials and supplies, the budget allocates only $8,000 a year for year one for approved textbooks and core curricular materials, and $135 per ADA for instructional materials and supplies. This does not adequately reflect the cost of purchasing new textbooks, curriculum, and instructional materials needed to start a new program. Classroom furniture, equipment, and supplies. The cost of furniture and equipment for new classrooms can be substantial. For example, in 2020, the district spent approximately $11,000 per classroom for 32 student desks and chairs, a teacher desk and chair, a wardrobe cabinet, and a file cabinet. These costs could be even higher for a Waldorf model program that prioritizes wood furniture and classroom supplies. Although the petition states that FOTTW will donate much of the starting classroom furniture, this reliance on a donor undercuts petitioners' ability to budget for and provide for these necessities. There's no indication or documentation demonstrating FOTTW's willingness or ability to fund these costs. Legal fees. The budget includes only $5,000 for legal fees in year one, increased by inflation in subsequent years. Attorney fees can range from $250 to $400 per hour for public school attorneys. Based on the budgeted amount, this would equate to only 16 to 20 hours of legal service for the entire year, which seems inadequate for a startup charter school. Insurance. The budget estimates only $81 per ADA for the cost of property and liability insurance. A comparable charter school in the area currently pays approximately $160 for ADA for coverage. Broad coverage is particularly important in light of the stated intentions to be housed at the Union Mills site, and if the charter school decides to provide for transportation to ensure access to all students. Utilities. The budget protects utility costs based on historical expenditures of the FOTTW and includes annual increases for inflation or growth. However, the budget does not account for utility cost increases associated with the significant building and square footage expansions that will be required to adequately house 165 to 240 students. This is particularly concerning considering the town's identification of significant upgrades to utility systems that could be necessary to accommodate the increased number of students. Food service. The budget includes revenue estimates for universal meals based on current federal and state meal and reimbursement rates. There are no assumptions provided regarding the estimated number of meals served or the student participation rates. The cost of providing meals is equivalent to the projected revenues, and all costs are incorporated in the cafeteria food category. Petitioners are assuming that this cost is a cost-neutral program without substantive evidence of that. There are no details in the petition or budget on how this service will be provided, nor a true reflection of the cost of providing meals. Because the Union Mills site is not authorized to operate a kitchen, the detail for provision of meals and costs associated with provision of meals must be delineated. Capital outlay. The budget does not include allocations for facilities improvements or expansion. Based on the projected enrollment, River Sage would have to make significant changes to the proposed facility in order to adequately accommodate all students. This would include the addition of several classrooms, restrooms, outdoor areas, and core facilities such as a kitchen to prepare and serve universal meals to all students. The cost of such additions and improvements are substantial and may take multiple years to complete. The district recently evaluated the cost for setting and refurbishing 2 portable classrooms at a high school and estimated a budget of $1.2 million, which included grading work, utilities, access code compliance. We estimate River Sage would require at least $200,000 to $300,000 per portable classroom for refurbishment. Petitioners indicated FOTTW has been fundraising for this purpose, but did not provide any information or documentation to support this arrangement. And last, special education. Based on the details provided in the budget, it appears that the special education revenues cover the majority, if not all, the cost of providing special education services. Most public schools contribute approximately 60% of special education program costs from the unrestricted general fund sources. The budget also does not account for enrollment of students with significant disabilities who typically require additional cost outlay. Budget projections should be more conservative for special education services and exceed the revenues available.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Ms. Cohen?
There are significant concerns with the River Sage Charter ability to serve all students. Their lack of support for the petition. Education Code Section 47605 requires the district to hold a public hearing to consider the level of support for the petition by teachers employed by the school district, other employees of the school district, and parents. While petitioners and members of the FOTTW Wild River community attended and spoke at the public hearing, teachers employed by the school district, other employees of the school district, and district parents did not express interest in the petition. The principal of the district's other charter school did not advocate for the petition. District teachers and staff members opposed the petition, as did a former employee of Golden Valley, Tahoe. And no families with students enrolled in the district spoke in favor of the petition. The district also received opposition to approval from Golden Valley board members and the parent of a student that was disenrolled from Golden Valley, Tahoe based on the student's disability. In regards to English learners, the petition does not provide a reasonable or comprehensive description of how River Sage will meet the needs of English learners. The petition describes a typical day for grades 1 through 8, which includes a 15-minute human development block. Petition page 31. The petition states that this period can provide additional instruction and practice in CCSS, Common Core State Standards, ELA, ELD, math, and science standards, as well as instruction in California Health Education Framework. 15 minutes is not an adequate amount of time to provide designated ELD instruction. Also, in addition to possible ELD instruction, the teacher would ostensibly provide instruction in 4 other curricular areas during that 15-minute block. This mention of multiple subject areas implies that the block of time is not prioritized for English learners' needs. The petition later states that it will provide designated and integrated ELD time. Petition page 52. However, the petition's daily instructional schedule in Appendix C does not include designated or integrated ELD. The petition also fails to provide a framework for instructional design aligned with English learners' needs. When asked for further explanation of ELD instruction at the public hearing, Ms. Rivers, the proposed principal and instructional leader of River Sage, indicated that teachers would use their hands to demonstrate while verbalizing, and that she would personally provide families with resources to evaluate student trauma. This response, particularly from the River Sage staff member tasked with overseeing the identification, assessment, monitoring, and reclassification of English language learners, evidences both a lack of knowledge of ELD best practices and a lack of cultural competency in assuming all ELD students or newcomers have trauma. The petitioner cited outdated testing materials for ELD and had no plan for newcomer EL students. In regards to special education and students with disabilities, the petition does not contain reasonably comprehensive descriptions of the required elements specific to pupils with exceptional needs. Petitioners assume they will join the El Dorado County Charter Special Education Local Plan Area, or SELPA, but will not receive confirmation of their acceptance to the proposed SELPA until January 2023. The petition does not provide for an alternative for special education funding and governance should the SELPA not accept their membership. The charter school fails to provide a detailed description of how they plan to identify, assess, and provide FAPE for their student population. The petition failed to define how they would ensure programs and services are available for all children with disabilities, particularly those with more significant disabilities. The petition does not identify how proposed curriculum and program would support students with disabilities. In addition, the petition fails to identify how the charter school plans to locate and identify appropriately credentialed and qualified staff. The current anticipated teachers do not hold education specialist credentials or appropriate qualified licenses. In regards to homeless and foster youth, the petition does not address the additional educational support provided for homeless and foster youth as identified in the McKinney-Vento Act. In addition, as petitioners indicated, they do not plan to provide transportation. There would be significant limitations on enrollment, access at the remote Union Mills site for homeless and foster youth living within the geographic boundaries of the school district, which includes students living in 3 counties across 723 square miles. The petition also placed a high priority instructionally on the Waldorf educational practice of looping, which keeps cohorts of students moving from grade to grade with one teacher. See petition page 20. However, homeless and foster youth can have interrupted and intermittent schooling experience experiences which may undercut the benefits of looping and place the homeless and foster youth outside of the bonded cohort that was looped together for several grades. The petition does not address how the charter school would address the challenge of this curricular model would create for the homeless and foster youth population. Socioeconomic disadvantaged. The petition does not address the additional educational support provided for socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Similar to the concerns identified for students with disabilities and homeless and foster youth, the petition fails to address how socioeconomically disadvantaged students could still access River Sage despite a lack of transportation offerings.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Mr. Rivera, you had an additional comment.
Yes, this comments in regards to the facilities. Once again, it's my understanding that the site at Union Mills does have portable classrooms, which originally were purchased from the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District. And I was part of that on the side of the purchase agreements between originally what was stated in the purchase agreement and arrangement was not only Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf, but also Golden Valley Charter. So we did sell those to Golden Valley Charter. The purchase agreement actually stated that they were being purchased from Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf on behalf of Golden Charter. And it was signed by Bonnie Rivers as a representative of Golden Charter, but the agreement is actually between the district, Golden Valley, and Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf. Later, we learned from the executive director of Golden Valley Charter, Caleb Buckley, that he was not informed about that purchase. However, the purchase agreement does state that it's provided for Golden Valley, purchased on behalf. So I would question actually whether those portables are under the ownership currently of Friends of Tahoe Truckee Waldorf or Golden Valley Charter.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Ms. Kramer.
The district staff, in the analysis, found that the River Sage charter position is demonstrably unlikely to serve the interests of the entire community. This analysis included the consideration of the fiscal impact on the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District and the extent that the charter petition would undermine, because of that fiscal impact, our current program offerings, and also look to see if there was any duplicative programming. So the charter school would have a fiscal impact on TTUSD. The first year, $1.6 million would be put towards the charter school, and then $2 million for the subsequent 2 years. And that fiscal impact would cause a reduction of staff in Tahoe Truckee Unified School District, larger class sizes, and then less discretionary spending for our school sites. And in looking at the programming that River Sage charter petition included, one was Spanish opportunity for students at River Sage in grades 1 through 8. This is a duplicate program. TTUSD has a two-way immersion program at Kings Beach and North Tahoe School, serving students in transitional kindergarten through 8th grade. And as we heard a few times tonight, that part of the River Sage Charter School petition includes the looping, which is part of the Waldorf model. At our Donner Trail Elementary School, we offer a multi-age program that includes looping with the teacher. And part of the River Sage Charter petition is outdoor education. Our current charter school, CELS, Sierra Expeditionary Learning, offers outdoor education, as does all of the TTUSD schools through our partnership with SWEP. In the River Sage Charter petition, it talked about really focusing on the whole child, and part of that is social emotional learning. TTUSD also supports the whole child with social emotional learning. We use a second step curriculum at all of our elementary schools. We use a social emotional screener called the Mini DESA and DESA follow-ups, and we have wellness centers at all of our school sites. Part of the River Sage Charter petition also talked about accelerated learners or GATE students and how the charter school would meet those students' needs. TTUSD also has an accelerated learner and GATE program for all of our students in all grade levels. And the petition also talks about special ed students, and TTUSD has a comprehensive special ed program. So many of the programs put forward in the River State Charter petition do duplicate programs offered by TTUSD.
So I have to say that staff took this charter petition very seriously, and we took a lot of time and due diligence in researching the petition. At the same time, it is our recommendation that the petition be denied as inconsistent with sound educational practice and with the interests for all students and of the community. The report sets out findings to support the following grounds for denial, which we have listed here. The petition presents an unsound educational program. Petitioners are demonstrably unlikely to successfully implement this program. The petition does not contain reasonably comprehensive descriptions of required elements, and the petition demonstrably is unlikely to serve the interests of the entire community. So we do realize we are requesting board take action to deny the petition and adopt the staff report as its written findings in support of the denial.
Thank you, Superintendent Geisels. Okay, how long was that?
Let's say 41 minutes.
41 minutes, double the promise. So I don't want to lengthen this meeting, but I'm going to do something a little bit unprecedented with the permission of the rest of you. So there was a mention of a public comment that was emailed to us, and so I've since seen a couple of other public comments because our regular board secretary our board clerk was out of the country, so they have come to us. What I would like to do is take a 10-minute recess with board homework, that we read what we received. I don't want to miss out on anything, and I want to do it before we hear from you guys, because it could, especially the letter that you talked about, which I've had a minute to review on the side here. I would like to take a 10-minute break, give the board the homework of looking at that public comment during that period of time, and then we'll open it up for you guys, okay? So we will re-adjourn at 5:20. to order. Look at that. Good job, team. Thank you. Okay, we're going to call us back to order. And now it's the petitioner's opportunity, and you have 41 minutes. But you don't have to use all that time.
Unlikely. All right. So again, thank you very much for all of your time and attention to this. We really do appreciate all that you've put into this. And we understand that the district has worked very hard as well. I'm going to start with reading you some more education code. Education Code 47601 states, "It is the intent of the legislature to provide opportunities for teachers, parents, pupils, and community members to establish and maintain schools that operate independently from the existing school district structure as a method to accomplish all of the following: improve pupil learning, increase learning opportunities for all pupils with special emphasis on expanded learning experiences for pupils who are identified as academically low achieving, encourage the use of different and innovative teaching methods, create new professional opportunities for teachers, including the opportunity to be responsible for the learning program at the school site, provide parents and pupils with expanded choices in the types of educational opportunities that are available within the public school system, hold the schools established under this part accountable for meeting measurable pupil outcomes, and provide the schools with a method to change from rule-based to performance-based accountability systems, provide vigorous competition within the public school system to stimulate continual improvements in public schools. This is the intent of California law, and this is what we are proposing to TTUSD with our petition. We are teachers, parents, pupils, and community members who want a Waldorf charter public school choice. We are doing this so that we are not a private school. We want to help found an equitable and diverse public school, or we would not be expending all of this time and effort at high personal cost. The parent signatures on our petition represent a diverse population of parents whose kids homeschool, attend private schools such as T, and attend public schools, including local charters and TTUSD schools. The teachers who signed our petition want responsibility, continued professional opportunities, and believe in the importance of public education. And I'm sorry, I neglected to point out, I left packets there for you in those red folders that have this letter and also some associated documents. I saw Carmen grab it, thank you. We recognize that TTUSD schools are great options for students. We are not proposing to replace any existing programs. We are proposing to complement the TTUSD school offerings in order to further serve public school students in this region. We want to collaborate and be a part of this incredible school district. I believe that it is the district's role to be a steward of public education in this region. Rather than sending us off to appeal to a different authorizer or leading parents to homeschool or attend a private school where the district would have much less oversight and the school would have less accountability, I urge this board to consider approving this school in order to best serve all the students in this region. We also recognize that the staff is reticent about approving another charter, and while we believe that many of their statements are opinion-based, unsupported, or supported by cherry-picked or inaccurate data, we want to take a minute to acknowledge that everyone's goal here is to serve the children of TTUSD by providing accessible education to all students and families in the district. We believe this is best achieved by a public charter school. We understand this request is being met with defensiveness by the TTUSD staff, and that they too are fighting for what they believe is best for them and the children of our district. Before we highlight some of the discrepancies for the board, we wish to remind you that there are many places in between yes and no, and many opportunities to find compromises between our petition and the needs of your district staff. You have the option of approving this charter with conditions or with the expectation of a MOU and creating a space for us to come together in conversation to work through any staff concerns. We are open, willing, and look forward to working with the TTUSD board and staff if permitted to do so, and look forward to the opportunities we can create together for the students of TTUSD. In reviewing the staff report, we ask the board to consider the issues in light of California Education Code 47605C, which actually your staff also read to you, so I know you know this, talking about in reviewing petitions for the establishment of charter schools, the chartering authority shall be guided by the intent of the legislature that charter schools are and should become an integral part of the California educational system, and that the establishment of charter schools should be encouraged. The governing board of the school district shall grant a charter for the operation of a school under this part if it is satisfied that granting the charter is consistent with sound educational practice and the interests of the community in which the school is proposing to locate. None of the issues raised in the staff report suggest that granting a charter is inconsistent with sound educational practice or the interests of the community. Waldorf is a pedagogy that has been in use for 100 years and is currently in use at 44 Waldorf public schools in the United States. These students would otherwise need to have spaces added in TTUSD schools, requiring either hiring and ostensibly adding physical space, or TTUSD would be increasing class size to serve them. Both options are costly in different ways. The staff report does not reflect fair consideration and evaluation of our petition. The report ignores or misstates important factual elements of the petition and cites law inaccurately. In numerous instances, the report bases conclusions on opinion and assumption without factual substantiation. Due to the nature of including so many of these instances, and so I was told I would have 15 minutes to present, so now I have more, I guess, and I can hit some more things than are included in this letter, but I included a few examples to make the point. So the first example is that facilities are not a required element of a charter petition. And even if the stated concerns were substantive, they would not logically hold as a basis for finding the petitioners demonstrably unlikely to implement the petition, as many alternate scenarios exist. The staff report expresses concern over the status of the use permit at 12640 Union Mills Road. We are following the process to expand the use permit. If we are not able to complete this facility in time and cannot find a suitable alternative location, we will wait to open a year. Staff concerns regarding safety are unfounded, as evidenced by the fact that these schools were and operating at the site. If the town were concerned about the safety of the children, these schools would not be allowed to continue operating. And as a note, the petitioners never stated that the preschool was going to stay in that location, and the preschool is moving, and the town does know that. I can also state that it's true, we did not submit a Prop 39 agreement. You do not have to submit a Prop 39 agreement to get district facilities, as evidenced by cells. There are other ways to work with the district that are usually more desirable for both parties because they can allow for a longer term agreement than 1 year, and they can allow for the district to receive fair market rent as opposed to only having to offer it at the rate of shared facilities costs. So I did not submit a Prop 39 agreement. That is accurate. And it doesn't preclude us being in district facilities if that's something the district wanted to do. Another issue is that the report makes a flawed dual-sided argument in citing concerns about Golden Valley's operational capability and then implying that the actual operators of Golden Valley are the most important opinions to consider. The staff report claims petitioners have an unsuccessful history of involvement in the operation of GVT. My child's attendance at a school does not equal operational involvement. I am the lead petitioner. My daughter attended Golden Valley Tahoe for 7 months. I had no involvement whatsoever in the operation or governance of Golden Valley Tahoe. Sierra Sage had no involvement in the operations or governance of Golden Valley Tahoe. My current operational involvement is with Environmental Charter Schools, which operates 4 highly successful schools. These schools have won state awards. Our established high school is consistently ranked in the top 10% of California high schools. 84% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. 97% of our high school seniors are accepted into 4-year universities, and 94% of our graduates attending college are the first in their family to do so. ECS schools have very healthy fund balances and cash balances and operate in beautiful, innovative facilities. Even our brand new school that opened last year with about 120 students. This is the background and the connections I am bringing to TTUSD and offering up as being an integral part of this petition. The letter goes on to speak to the problems identified in the operations of Golden Valley, so the fact that the report gives so much weight to Golden Valley representatives is confusing. 2 of only 3 public comments included in this report are from representatives of Golden Valley. The report cites them as being opinions that should be considered over and above the many other public comments submitted in favor of the petition, even though they are the ones involved in the operations of Golden Valley, and they are not parents, staff, students, or community members of TTUSD. I would love for you to take a moment to imagine an alternate scenario here. where district staff see that these individuals with deep experience, expertise, and connections with others with deep experience and expertise are offering to come in to help build something beautiful with TTUSD to serve kids and help a group of teachers realize their professional goals. One other point I want to make here is that there was a statement in the staff report that Golden Valley's other schools do not seem to have significant deficits. And this actually, based upon their September 7th Finance Committee report, doesn't seem substantiated by the facts. So their 21-22 unaudited actuals report shows a deficit of $350,000 for Golden Valley Orchard, lowering their fund balance to $106,000, or only 3% of expenditures. And for Golden Valley River, they have a deficit of about over $600,000. And Golden Valley Orchard's 5-year projection has deficits in 4 out of 5 out years, with an ending fund balance of negative $383,000 in year 5. So I call those concerning deficits. I never said that there was fiscal mismanagement. What I said was that we would make different fiscal decisions. I gave specific occurrences of what we would do differently. So applying for federal funds in year 1, applying for startup support, and managing our special education budget differently. Excuse me. All right, so the next point I want to drive home is River Sage is not a private school conversion. Simply because students have attended a private school and elect the next year to enroll in a charter school, this does not mean a petition is a conversion of a private school. An example of a conversion of a private school would be if Tahoe Expedition Academy came up here and said, we have this school, we have this site, we've been operating for 20 years as a private school, we're ready to start a charter school, please approve us, right? And there are schools that have been approved that are not that dissimilar from that, but at any rate, River Sage is not a private school. River Sage is very clearly also not a preschool. This is a charter to operate a TK through 8 school. Little Gems is a preschool. It will not offer transitional kindergarten. There are multiple instances in California of entities operating tuition-based preschools and also operating public schools. A few examples include Culver City Unified School District, Riverside Unified School District, and Grass Valley Charter School. We will not use public funds to fund the preschool. We know this is not allowable, and our annual audit will prove this to be the case. Wild River is an enrichment program for homeschool students that is not operated by the governing entity of River Sage. Another important point I want to make is that the River Sage petition is reasonably comprehensive, particularly if one compares it to the only other charter petition approved by TTUSD, CELS. When I met with TTUSD staff to discuss expectations and process for the petition, the only specific feedback received was to look at the CELS petition as a guide, as the CELS petition is comprehensive in the eyes of the district. And I agree. I feel the CELS petition is an excellent, very comprehensive petition. Our descriptions of programming for English learners, special education students, homeless foster youth, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and most other aspects of the petition are significantly more comprehensive than the CELS petition. So these little tabs here are a comparison of River Sage versus CELS in different parts. So tab I, you can see our description of our plans for socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And the CELS petition didn't actually have a section on that. Tab J talks about youth in the foster system and or experiencing homelessness. And you can see it's about a page and a half of content talking about how we're going to serve these students. The CELS petition also didn't have a specific section on this. And again, it's not to knock CELS, it's to show we did follow the guidelines that we were given, and we did make a comprehensive petition. Tab K is our description of English learners. So this one's lengthy, it's about 8 pages long. It talks about all the different methodologies we'll use. It talks about how we will test and track. It talks about different types of English learners, like LTELs, long-term English learners. The CELS petition pages are about 3 pages in comparison. Another issue I need to point out, claims with regard to speaker, supporter, enrolled student demographics, and petition marketing plans are not substantiated with factual evidence. The staff reports at the public hearing, parents and students speaking in favor of the charter school did not represent the demographics of the district. We all know that demographics of people cannot be determined by looking at them or their parents, yet the report states this as if it is fact. The parents who spoke, in fact, are parents of children who are recipients of special education services, children who are not white, and children who are academically low achieving. Further, public comments were submitted via email from parents whose kids represented varied demographics. Some parents can't attend the school board meeting in person because they work long hours, cannot afford childcare, or the meeting falls on a date or a time that they cannot attend. Or sometimes they are in the room supporting, but they don't feel comfortable speaking in front of a large group. Or they simply don't want to share their income information or other personal business in a public forum. And this doesn't mean that their opinions submitted via email are not valid and important, or that their signatures on the petition should not carry weight. The staff report states the petition also does not describe how Riversage plans to attract an appropriate balance of students reflective of the student population residing within the district's boundaries. So that is tab M. So you can see our description of that versus the cell's description here in my right hand. Pages 106 to 108 from the petition clearly describe much more than the district report implies. A small excerpt from these 2 pages of content: school information outreach sessions will be conducted in English and Spanish and will be held at different venues throughout the community. Outreach and recruitment efforts will include evening meetings in Spanish and English and other languages as necessary at the school site and in other locations. Tours of the campus in English and Spanish for prospective parents. Engaging community partners / local businesses to place flyers and posters in their establishments, such as churches, laundromats, ethnic markets, recreation centers, martial arts and dance studios, etc. Activating our Equity and Diversity Committee members to assist with outreach. Riversage School will continue to build relationships with community partners to increase our visibility and outreach to our community. Our goal is to be reflective of student demographics. We have plans to achieve this goal, and there are consequences to not achieving this goal. The budget assumed different demographics because it is a conservative budget. We plan with conservative assumptions, but work toward a different goal. If our school does achieve demographics representative of the district, we would have an additional roughly $54,000 of LCFF funds only in year 1, building to about $90,000 in year 5, only of LCFF funds. There would be other funds that also would likely be available to us at higher amounts. This would easily cover the cost of busing that TTUSD charges cells, about $110 per ADA in year 1, or about $17,000 in cost for Riversage in year 1. Further, perhaps some parents don't find the bus to be the most compelling way for their student to get to school. We want to speak to those parents to understand what best meets their needs in concert with considering what we can achieve. Is a 1-hour bus ride what would attract and retain students, or a 30-minute carpool or vanpool ride? We will work with our Equity and Diversity Committee and prospective parents to best meet parents and student needs. For charter schools, commonly the most effective, fair, and legal way to ensure a diverse student population is driving demand, not necessarily putting preferences in place. TTUSD places heavy emphasis on lottery preferences as a means to achieve diversity, yet if there aren't enough applicants to trigger a lottery, what good are preferences? In any event, there are nationality, race, and disability-based preferences are unlawful in California. Marketing and outreach is the most effective strategy to ensure there is a random public lottery, and making sure this outreach is comprehensive and reflective of the district ensures that statistics lead to a fair process and a reflective population. However, if we find that our population is not reflective of the income demographics of the district, even with a random public lottery, we could adjust our lottery policy to be similar to that of cells. If our demographics are not reflective, then our charter renewal is at risk. So it is very important to us to have reflective demographics. There are no other Waldorf programs in the district. TTUSD claims they operate similar programs to Riversage, though page 29 of the staff report states the district does not have a Waldorf program. According to the staff report, a child would need to be enrolled in Kings Beach Elementary, Donner Trail Elementary, and Sells all at the same time to have the same experience a Waldorf charter school would offer them. The closest public Waldorf school is 50 miles away in Grass Valley. One of the first Waldorf charters to be granted, it has been operating successfully for 27 years and has over 300 students. However, this school's location is too far a drive for it to be a legitimate option for TTUSD students. In summary, it is clear that this report is crafted to block approval of a strong petition, regardless of the intent of California law. We have not even addressed all these instances of misrepresentations of facts. We have only picked a few. The concerns raised in the staff report lack substance, underscoring how solid this petition is. There are no real issues. If the board has specific concerns, they could be addressed either by approving the petition with conditions or through an MOU between, a MOU between TTUSD and the school. Prefer that we are a school of the district for special education. We are open to discussing that, and that is the default by law, so it is what would happen if we were not admitted to a SELPA. Do you want us to have a plan in place for student transportation prior to beginning school? That could be a condition of approval or part of an MOU. Do you want the district to conduct a facilities walkthrough prior to opening to students? This could also be part of the MOU. All of these are not uncommon, though there are plenty of petitions approved without these requirements as well. We hope that this board will approve this comprehensive petition backed by deep expertise and extensive experience in operating highly successful charter schools. And actually, I'm just going to take this time to address a couple of the budget ones. So again, I've been doing this since 2007. I've prepared probably over 100 charter school budgets for well over a dozen charter schools, I imagine. So those assumptions are based upon my lengthy experience of seeing budgets through from making the budget to seeing the actuals and from seeing lots of different schools. So insurance assumptions, for example, that's based on a wide range of schools and their insurance realities. It's possible that our insurance could end up higher or any of those areas. What I do know is that budgets never end up exactly as you made them, right? So what we do is we build in areas of cushion in other places so that if one thing ends up over budget and another thing ends up under budget, that's okay. We also build in a large amount of net income cushion so that it can absorb these things. And we consistently monitor and report and talk to the principal and talk to the board about what's going on so that we can make adjustments and work accordingly. This is a demonstrably, I guess, I have much evidence to support this budget. I can demonstrate that I've made many budgets successfully, and I've supported many charter schools to become strong, well-operating schools with very healthy fund balances and plenty of cash, and that's what I'm bringing to you guys. And if there are any other assumptions you want me to get into, that's fine. But I think that's all I had prepared. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more tab in there. The very last tab shows you demographics of other Waldorf public schools that look very different from the ones that were presented in the report. So we can choose schools one way or the other. The reality of it is we'll probably fall somewhere in between, and there are laws that state if you don't fall within where the district is, then you don't get to get renewed. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tracy. I have a question for you, Superintendent Geisels. Did you have a meeting with Tracy and or other folks from, I don't know, from River Sage?
Yes. I think it was way back in June or July, Tracy, that you and Todd and I met, and they told us they were interested in developing a charter petition. So we said, okay, and we referred them to the CDE website, and then that we had a CELS, charter petition, but that it was really informal because they were just coming and asking us for, information, so that we didn't really give them any kind of outline or anything like that. Okay. So, yeah, because...
Is that how you remember it also?
Yes, and we were calling them I asked you about special education, and if you felt that there was any particular way that the district would like to see
special education in the petition.
Can you come?
Yeah.
Dee Dee can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Dee Dee. Yes, we also asked about special education, if there was any particular way the district would want to see that in the petition, because the options are, for those who haven't seen or haven't worked with a lot of these, you can either be an LEA for special education, which is what we put in there, where you apply to a SELPA and you provide all the services to your student, and you also receive all the funding for your students who qualify for special education. The other way is that you are a school of the district for special education, which is what CELS is. So we didn't get a lot of feedback on that, and I understand they don't have to give us feedback. The reason we chose it is both because we have a pretty unique pedagogical program, which oftentimes is best served in-house, and also because this way, well, I can say a lot of times districts, when you're a school of the district for special education, it can be more costly for the district, right? Because they have to provide all of the services regardless of the amount of funds that come in for those students. So if we are our own LEA for special education, it's on us to provide those services and come up with the funding to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we chose that. Twofold. But we're open. And also, by law, that is the default, is school of the district for special education. So that's what it would default to if we're not admitted to a SELPA.
Don't leave, because I don't know if anybody else has questions. So,
Okay.
Because I have a couple more also. But I also want to disclose that Tracy and I did have about a 35-minute telephone conversation at her request last week, prior to the holiday?
Yep.
Or after the holiday? I can't remember.
It was Tuesday, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Prior to the holiday, she wanted to know if I had questions. She asked if the district would ever be interested in a Waldorf school, of course, which I replied, we've already demonstrated we are supportive of charter schools. And we had, I thought a really positive conversation overall. So I just wanted to disclose that because I feel like we're in a legislative role here. So I think all communication is important. So, Galen, do you have any questions for Tracy? Or the staff, for that matter? Okay, thank you. Chris?
No, thank you.
Kirsten?
Actually, I do have one quick question. Something that you mentioned when you were just speaking sort of caught my attention. You said that you could apply for funds, federal funds, to potentially augment your budget. What are you referring to?
I did not include Title I funding in our budget because Title I funding is very difficult to estimate.
Yeah.
Unless you can give specifics about your demographics, right? And if you're too small, you don't get it.
Right.
But yes, if we had demographics reflective of the district, we would qualify for Title I funding, and that would be additional funding that we could use for things like transportation.
Okay, and so are there any other funding sources or fundraising or private donors or grants that you could apply for potentially as well?
Yes. So obviously there is private fundraising, which FOTTW has done successfully on behalf of the school for years. But there's also the Public Charter Schools Grant Program, Startup Grant. It's a federal grant, excuse me, which I can't include in our budget either because you can't secure this grant until you have an approved charter petition. But that is another possible grant. It would be a maximum of about $600,000 for the school for startup-related costs. So yes, that would be another option for increasing our funding pool.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tracy, you also mentioned, I'm sorry, Dee Dee, I forgot about you. Questions?
I have no questions. I will have a comment.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned somehow you would receive extra LCFF funds. I was a little confused on that.
Yeah,
reference.
so local control funding formula funds, that's our general purpose funding. It's driven by a lot of things. So first of all, just by your average daily attendance, right? Then there are also the supplemental and concentration grant components. Now, the concentration grant component would not likely kick in because that's for like 55% or higher for reduced lunch. But the supplemental grant is based upon your students who are low income, foster, and homeless, and English learners.
But then you connected that to busing, and I didn't understand how that was connected. And I also question the utilization of the same busing costs for Sells, who is contiguous to the rest of the district, which you guys are not, at
Okay.
least in your proposed facility. So can you talk to that?
I think I was just stating that I think the district contention is that we do not have enough funds in our budget to provide for transportation, and I would disagree. And also, I am, excuse me.
Please, take a second, no worries.
I am confident that we can achieve those demographics, and then we would have, that available funding to be able to provide for transportation on top of those other available funds out there. So I am confident we can provide transportation. We did not put it in our petition because it's not something I typically state in a petition, but it is possible. And again, if the district wanted to recommend approval under a condition or with an MOU for transportation, that would make us happy.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think I have any other questions.
One more?
Okay.
So in terms of location, I'm just trying to get a sense of how committed you are to that particular location, and are you open to exploring different options that before you invest a huge amount of money into plumbing and all of the requirements?
Most definitely, yeah. We would be open to alternative locations. Right, that's an excellent point. So this Little Gems of the Sierra Preschool, Inc., that we were calling Sierra Sage in the petition, are the ones submitting this petition. So yes, they're 100% open to other options for locations. FOTDW is the one that owns the site excuse me, at Union Mills, and so they're the ones that would be investing all of that money into it. But yeah, we are definitely open.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking that is because so many of the obstacles, or at least from where I'm sitting here, is based around the location that you've decided. And there's transportation issues, there's cost issues, there's safety issues, there's kitchen issues. There's a huge amount of money that you guys are going to try to come up with to create a brand-new school out of almost nothing. And I'm just wondering, I'm not 100% sure if that's money well invested, if you're understanding what I'm thinking, just because we live in a community where geography and housing and space is a huge problem to be able to create new programs. So that really shouldn't be an obstacle for you in the big picture. It really should be removed from the equation so that you can actually build a facility that kids can get to, that has kitchens, that has bathrooms, that has little bathrooms, that has big bathrooms, that has little sinks, that have big sinks. Everything that we have had to do to build this district had to comply with so much code that I would hate to have to see you go through the pain of that and the excruciating cost. And that just, for me, from an efficiency standpoint, if you really want to successfully build a program, we need to really take a very good look at how you're spending your dollars and efficiently. So that's, for me, just the biggest sort of red flag, is it's all about this facility problem. It's all about the transportation problem. There's so many things that maybe we could figure out a better way to get around that problem, is just what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm open to that. I'll take this opportunity to mention one other thing that, with regard to building out facilities, districts are subject to DSA, as he mentioned, and to some other requirements that charter schools that are not in district facilities are not subject to. So those estimates of the cost of rehabbing these portables are way, way, way higher than it would cost for a district to do that. And we have a quotation, but but we are definitely open. We're not wedded to this location, if that's a concern, and if we can't get it open in time.
Any other questions? Okay. Board deliberations. Galen, do you want to start?
I remember way back when charter schools were started. I mean, there was a problem, a perceived problem in public schools, that they weren't doing the job, and let's get them some competition. That was kind of the belief. And they started, and I was in full support, although I had nothing to do with anything at that time. And there were some failures, and there were some problems that go from legal issues to administrative issues. So we have to take this seriously. It's not like charter schools are fine, just say the word. You got to look at it. So we look at it thoroughly. We have a charter school. I was on the board when they came and petitioned, and it was a nice thing. They had a complete program, and they're doing fine. Your petition was supposed to be complete when we got it, and you gave us some stuff tonight to rebut our staff's findings that were laced with, oh, that's incorrect, or they weren't right, and we have no time to check that. I mean, it's your defense seems to be that they're wrong. And I've worked with these people for 12 years, well, most of them. And they wouldn't do anything that they didn't believe was absolutely right. I mean, to the T. So the situation we're in here is, yes, a charter school would be great, but it's got to be able to run, and it's got to be able to administer to all of our demographics. And it's got to do a good job when they're doing it. And you were unable to explain, are they doing a good job? Because you said, oh, they're homeschooling now in private schools, so we don't have that information. So, but that's what my thinking is. I don't think you're ready. And you might be in a year if you did this, if you went back and studied what the report was seriously.
Thank you. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm gonna, because you said it. Defensive, illogical, crafted to block approval. Why do you want to be in business with these people? Right? So, thank you for the hard work you did. Thank you for the hard work that you've done. But I just had to say that because this is who would be helping you run a charter, right? Anyway, having said that, I just, some of the obstacles, pardon me with my earring difficulty here, some of the obstacles that were mentioned by my fellow board members and by the staff report just make me feel like you should be held, any charter should be held to the same standard that we hold our current public schools to. And so I just want to say that for me right now, today, we're not in alignment, and that's how I feel.
Kirsten?
No, I don't really have any deliberation. Thank you.
Dee Dee?
Thank you. I would also like to just say thanks to every team that's put out so much effort on this. Both sides have done a lot, and it shows that everyone is trying hard to make it all work. I am definitely a supporter of a charter school. My kids went to charter schools. I think at this point, I feel that we as a board and as a staff we've worked hard to get where we are, and I think that what Galen just mentioned in terms of not being ready, I don't doubt that they heartfelt, you guys are trying to make a great school go, and I totally support that. There's too many things for me to feel comfortable saying yes to when they're not all complete, and it just seems a little too, I would say, rushed, or we're not ready right now. I do believe in open communication, so I hope that we can continue talking about this, and I think these are all of our students, but I just feel that we're not quite aligned or ready for this to happen.
Yeah, Tracy, you guys have done a yeoman's job with this, and I appreciate the work that you've done, and I appreciate that you're new to this area, not to this business. I appreciate all of your experience. When you and I talked, I mean, you recognize that we did our homework, and I'm really disappointed that I got this now, because it doesn't give me any opportunity to do any homework whatsoever. And I don't, so that's disappointing. You guys had over 2 weeks. And, being a CPA, a concrete, person, concrete, sequential, that's what that called? What I was hoping for, honestly, was we have this much money raised. This is our timeline for getting the facility done. This is addressing the EL learners, the specifics that the staff outlined in the staff report. This is the specific way we're going to address the special education. And I'm not seeing that concrete addressing of what I perceive to be real issues with the petition. And we have to look at the petition. You all said it was complete when you gave it to us. Yet you said, well, we'll look at another facility. Well, I feel like I'm left going, is it going to drop out of the sky? Tell me where that other facility is. Give me something to grab onto that I can say, I know these kids aren't going to get their school shut down again on them. That's what's most important to me, is that we have stability for all of our TTUSD kids. And I 100% believe that you and the whole room that was here last time want only the best. And you acknowledge that, we acknowledge that, we are in this together. So bring us back something, it won't be me, won't be Galen, but bring something that has all of those things addressed. And that's kind of what you and I talked about in our telephone call, was give us the board, the next board, whomever you go to, the concrete answers to these concerns, and you shouldn't have a problem. How are you going to get to 165 kids from 70? That's a huge one. As you and I know from a financial aspect, address the safety issues with the facility. Maybe it's not going to cost $300,000 for a portable. It's going to cost a lot. I've been in Turkey for a long time. I worked for the town for a long time. I know very well how much things cost to build here. And I did read the entire mitigated neg deck document, and we'll watch the Planning Commission when you guys go, I think, on the 20th of December. But yes, I did read the entire document. So there is a lot to be done still. So keep at it if you're so motivated, or do the private school like you told me that was way easier. I'm not suggesting that's the right thing to do. But Tracy said to me on the phone, oh, it'd be so much easier if we just did a private school.
A lot of the concerns in this report would be mitigated by...
Absolutely, they would. Because as Chris and everybody said, we hold ourselves to a really high standard here at TTUSD. And so we're not going to hold you to a lower standard or a higher standard, but the same standard of the services that this incredible staff, with all of the folks that work in our district, our instructional assistants, our bus drivers, our teachers, provide to our kids every single day. So we're just looking for that same level. And in the document that was submitted to us, when I first read it, I didn't feel that it met what we were expected by the California law, and based on what staff had to say and what I've heard from you, I still am not there. So I'm sorry. So that's probably way more than I needed to say. But someone needs to make a motion, and the motion is on the last page of the staff report. If someone could bring that up.
Do you want me to read it? Is
Yeah,
it
it's
here?
right. Can you go ahead and do it? Yeah.
This right here.
Yeah, the board can deny the petition and adopt the staff report's findings.
So I'm making a recommendation.
A motion
A
that-
motion to accept the staff report to deny the charter petition by River Sage, or from River Sage Charter.
And adopt the staff report as the written findings.
and adopt the staff report as written with its findings.
In support of the denial.
In support of the denial.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
We live here, so we'll see you again.
Do we need to close the meeting?
Oh, sorry. Adjourn.
Thanks, John.
Wait, before we close,
Yes, Dee Dee?
Kim, I just want to say, and Galen, that I am really sorry that I'm not there with you at your last official board meeting.
Aw.
But I do want to say
Tell me
thanks
when
so
we
much
take it
for, again, publicly again, but thank you so much for your 12 plus.
Oh, she's gone.